Good evening. Thanks very much for coming back to my channel. Welcome to episode 13 of the live stream series, Inspirational Invitational. And today I've got a very special guest. His name's Eric. He lives in the US and he runs a YouTube channel called the Techy Agent, where he reviews all kinds of fitness wearables, GPS watches and that kind of thing. And he's a very knowledgeable guy about this topic. So I thought I'd get him on. And if any of you are buying a new device and you're not sure which device to get and you kind of got a few in mind and you want to kind of find out what's going to really tip one way or the other for you, Eric's your guy. So, welcome to the channel, Eric. How you doing?
Doing well. Hey, thanks for having me on here.
No problem at all, mate. And I'm not sure if all my viewers will have heard of you before, met you before. So I thought if you could just talk for a few minutes about yourself and your channel and just let people know what you're about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks. So my channel is about fitness and health technology. So obviously the biggest health and fitness technology that's really kind of permeated the market is wearables, you know, and so that tends to kind of be my focus. I focus on GPS watches, like you mentioned, fitness trackers, watches that have built-in sensors to track your heart rate, stuff like that. And that's kind of where I gravitate. From time to time, I'll break out kind of that genre and maybe do something else that interests me, but I really try to stay focused on the health and fitness technology aspect. And so what per me, I have a couple of affiliates that will send me products to review. But for the most part, I purchase a product. I will take it with me into the gym and I'll do various workouts. I'll do some strength training, kind of CrossFit boot camp style stuff. I'll try to incorporate some swimming now is what I've been trying to kind of build into, even though I'm terrible at some of these exercises. I do them just because I'm trying to, get a well-rounded review. So I'll take it swimming, take it cycling, take it jogging. And again, I'm not an expert in all of those areas. Far from it. I'm actually kind of the average Joe, but I just take it through a wide variety of different workouts and then kind of give my thoughts and opinions in a final review. And I think kind of, people have gravitated towards the channel just because I am the average Joe, just showing you how a product works, if I think it's any good, if it's accurate or not. And then that's kind of how I built my channel.
Yeah, and it certainly helped me out because I've used the channel in the past when I was looking at I got them in Phoenix 3, but
okay.
I needed to know which device was going to work for me. I was running the Comrades Marathon in South Africa, which is a 87K race. And I needed the battery life, but I also needed real accurate GPS tracking and all of that. So I watched a few of your videos and it really helped me out. So even though, you say you're the average guy, but you come across in your videos that you really know what you're talking about and all the things that you say are always right and accurate. So how do you learn so much about fitness trackers?
Just through the experience of being exposed to so many of them. So, I've used so many that I've kind of have established a baseline of what, a decent fitness tracker should look like. And so now that I've had so much exposure to, I don't know how many different fitness trackers, now when I try something on and start to use it, I can get a pretty good idea pretty quickly on how it compares to the rest of what's on the market. So if something's just not performing well, I can usually tell that just because I have a lot of experience taking so many different fitness trackers in the gym. And so I know, if I go into the gym and I'm running on a treadmill or I'm, lifting weight and I have a heart rate sensor that's telling me that my heart rate is 70 beats per minute, I know that that's probably inaccurate, as opposed to where it should be, which is maybe 130 or even 140 beats per minute. And so just kind of it's been an educational experience for me doing, as I've built this channel, it's been an educational experience, and the knowledge that I have has just kind of been accumulation of all of the different reviews that I've done. And so that's how I've kind of established myself as an expert, if you want to call me that, is just because I've had so much experience and exposure to all of the different products that are available on the market.
Yeah, and you've definitely reviewed lots of different devices. You've done Fitbit brands, Garmin brands. You've done Suunto as well, I think, haven't you? So anything out there, I know you're on it.
Yeah.
What do you personally go for and lean towards as your favourite?
You know, I'll have a favorite and it'll last maybe like 6 months and then I get bored and want to try something new. But right now, yeah, right now, the one that I'm reviewing on my wrist is the Garmin Vivo Active 3 Music. So I'm hoping to have a review for that soon. It's a fantastic product. I've always liked the Garmin Vivo Active series. I've owned every single Garmin Vivo Active ever since the first one came out. So I've always enjoyed that. I also really like the Amazfit Stratos, which is on my wrist here. The Amazfit Stratos has kind of been my go-to lately for just GPS tracking for cycling and jogging and stuff like that. The Apple Watch is kind of a daily wearable for me because it's a smartwatch and it pairs with my app or with my iPhone. So I've enjoyed using that. And you can probably hear dogs fighting in my neighborhood in the background. And I'm trying to think of other ones that I've really enjoyed using. The Polar Loop was a real early one, and I've used several Polar products. The Polar A360 is another one that I wore for a long time. So there's been a pretty big handful of products that I've kind of cycled through over the last few years that I personally used. The Garmin Fenix 5X is another one that I have that I haven't been using as much recently. I've kind of leaned more towards the Amazfit Stratos, but the Garmin Fenix series is another fantastic lineup that I've used as well.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I've got the Fenix 3, so I'm a little bit behind on the tech, but it's a solid watch, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right, well, we've got our first live question in, which has come from Lady of Bucks, and she's asking, have you experienced or heard of strap problems with the new Fitbit Ionic?
With the new Fitbit Ionic, have I heard of strap problems? Now, I haven't heard of anything. Now, by strap problems, if they mean like problems where it wears out prematurely, Fitbit is kind of known for having the plastics of their devices wear out pretty quickly. They make nice products, but they just, in terms of like longevity, the build quality of them, they're just not designed, I think, to really last more than a couple of years. So they tend to wear out kind of prematurely, those bands. Now, fortunately, you can buy, replacement bands for most of the Fitbit products now. In terms of band problems, if they mean like chafing on the skin or kind of rubbing the skin raw, again, Fitbit has a history of having products that use kind of a softer rubber or a softer plastic that grips well. It grips the wrist, but then when it grips the wrist, it can also lead to kind of those abrasions on the skin. So it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, right? Those soft plastics can make it so that a device will really stay on your wrist nice and tight, and the optical sensor isn't moving around, so the heart rate data is accurate. At the same time, when it's gripping your wrist like that, some people have experienced, chafing and some rashes and other stuff on their wrists. As a matter of fact, my dad had a Fitbit, and he was getting some of those like abrasions on his wrist because the wrist, it was rubbing his wrist raw. So yeah, those are a couple of problems that Fitbit has had, and it's actually not entirely just Fitbit. There's been other brands that have experienced similar problems too.
Yeah, I think my wife had a Fitbit Charge too, and she did experience issues with the strap. It was causing like an itching and a rashing, and it was on the edge of the wrist here, really, was where it was building up for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did kind of replace the brand cheaper ones.
Yeah, you still there? I think maybe it timed out the internet. Oh, sorry, my internet must be going slow here. You were cutting in and out for a second there.
We'll persevere, see how it goes. But
Okay.
yeah, I think with the replacement straps for the Fitbits, they can be cheaper quality if you buy the cheaper ones, and you can still get issues. But yeah, I mean, the Fitbit as it goes as a product, we've had a Fitbit Charge 2 and a Fitbit Ionic in our family, and we've found that apart from the strap issue, the data that they provide is pretty good. What do you make of the data and the software that backs up the Fitbit?
Yeah, I think, they're a huge company, so they're going to make sure their reputation is on that data, and so they're going to make sure that they do a good job. You know, now where I would like to see Fitbit grow personally is to have some watches where the GPS, where they would maybe manufacture a higher end GPS watch. I think the Fitbit Ionic was their attempt at that, and it is a good GPS watch. But barring that, they haven't had any GPS watches that have, say, like the battery longevity that you would get from maybe a Garmin Forerunner or Phoenix device. Those watches are designed to have the GPS turned on, and you can go run a marathon or go run a triathlon, you know, an event that's going to take you a long time, and the GPS, the battery life, will be able to persevere through that entire run. Whereas, you know, with Fitbit, they've done a lot of devices that have connected GPS to your phone, which you know, may not want to bring along with you when you go for a run. And then additionally to that, a lot of their watches just don't have big enough batteries to support a long GPS life. And so that's why you see runners and cyclers that are serious kind of gravitating more towards Suunto and Polar and Garmin, because they have watches that support GPS, you know, for many hours, and like the Phoenix 3 that you have on your wrist.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, Fitbit, for me, at first, they were more about sleeping and stepping and tracking those kinds of things. And I saw it as a product that would help somebody that's maybe completely inactive to get more active and start on a fitness journey, and maybe get walking a bit more, and maybe work towards a Couch to 5K program or something like that. And as you said, geared at the serious runner that's already trained and is running marathons and that kind of thing. And Fitbit seems to be a hot topic. We've got JSK Davies 23. He wants to know, is the new Fitbit Ionic waterproof when swimming? So their newest model.
Yeah, so let me think. I get some of these jumbled. So the new Fitbit Ionic, yes, it is waterproof. As a matter of fact, the new Fitbit Ionic does have swim tracking features on there as well. And you can even download, I can't remember what the app is, but you can even download a third-party application that's been developed for swimming for the Fitbit Ionic. So it does support swimming. Now, the water-resistant rating on the Fitbit Ionic is designed for swimming, not for like deep sea diving. So if you're wanting a watch that's going to support, you know, snorkeling or going under water kind of at a greater depth, then the Fitbit Ionic would not be a good choice. But if you're just looking to do some laps in a pool, then the Fitbit Ionic would be a good choice.
Fantastic. And we've got James Batten. He's saying that his main sport is trail running and ultra distance, and he's currently in the process of upgrading his Forerunner 235. So he's between Suunto Spartan Ultra and the Garmin Fitbit 5. The moves count app reviews, certainly for the Strava uploading, are putting him off. I'm not sure which one he means is being put off of there, probably the latter one. But yeah, what would you say out of the Suunto Spartan Ultra and the Garmin Fenix 5?
I mean, that's a good one. So here's my opinion on that. I think that Suunto, because they're using Valencell sensors, I think I like the Suunto better for heart rate tracking, but in terms of GPS features and all of the other features, then I would gravitate towards Garmin. And for something like trail running, the sensor that's on the Garmin Fenix 5 is going to be plenty accurate for trail running and for you know, those kinds of exercises. So in his particular case, I would say the Garmin Fenix 5, just because I think that Garmin has really established themselves as a GPS watch company. Not that Suunto hasn't, but Suunto is just a much smaller company. They're still relying a lot on build components from other companies like Valencell for their heart rate sensor, which I actually think is a plus. I do think that Valencell has proven themselves to make a great sensor, and so I actually kind of like that on the Suunto. But yeah, everything else I would kind of say that I weight towards Garmin, and so the Garmin Fenix 5 is just a top of the line GPS watch, especially for someone who's doing trail runs or trail hiking.
Yeah, and obviously I got the Fenix 3, and for I ran comrades using that, and I tracked for 11 hours and 18 minutes. It took me to complete that race, and it tracked the whole time. And I think by the end of it, I still had at least 50% battery left, and I went from fully charged in the morning. And I found it to be a fantastic device, and I suppose the 5 is only going to be an upgrade on that.
Yeah, I think so. Garmin is making, I mean, we're at the place now too, where we're not seeing these giant leaps forward in terms of what, new products are offering. So, for example, the new Garmin Fenix 5 Plus series, it was kind of an incremental step. It wasn't this huge leap forward. They added a few features. And I think that's kind of the trend that we're seeing now with just about every, wearable maker. They're not making these huge leap forward like they were a few years ago when it was a brand new technology. We're just seeing these little incremental improvements. And so, for someone that already has a Fenix 3 or a Fenix 5, to go with the Fenix 5 Plus would probably be overkill. It would be a needless expense. But if there's someone who is new to it and is really wanting to purchase their first, serious GPS watch, then yeah, the Garmin Fenix 5 series or Fenix 5 Plus series would be a great choice.
Yeah, I think so. And as well, some people, when they're looking at buying their first fitness tracker or the GPS watch, price point is a big thing in that decision, because people have limited amounts to spend on these items. They're not essential items. They're there for running and for a hobby and a leisure activity. So, and the new kind of price points. I saw your video recently about the new Fenix 5 Plus, and it's a pretty high figure, isn't it? What sort of money is people going to have to part with to buy one of those?
Yeah, so I haven't kept total tabs on what the international market is doing, but in terms of what the U.S. Is doing, the very base rate is $699, which is about on par with what Garmin has done when they've released the Fenix 5 or the Fenix watches in the past. But you can quickly get to $1,000 US dollars or more, depending on what features you want to go with. So if you want better bands, if you want a better build quality, so instead of a plastic body, if you want to go with a titanium body, or instead of Gorilla Glass 3, if you want to go with a sapphire glass, all of those additional features are going to quickly add up, and so you could easily spend $850 US dollars plus tax, or $1,000 on up even. And so, and I know that the US market tends to be the cheapest in terms of when Garmin first announces a product. So I can only imagine what the international market is going to look like in terms of pricing. It's going to be a very costly device.
Yeah, I mean, I've just done a quick currency conversion there. So $699 US dollars is £527 in the UK. So that's it's quite a lot. And for some people that might be too much. So if you were going to recommend maybe a model of Garmin that's at a lower price point, that's probably a bit more affordable to the masses, what would you say is the best one?
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends, right? I think if they need something that's got battery life, then they could potentially kind of look at a Garmin Forerunner watch. And there are a lot of different Forerunner watches out there. Over the last couple of years, Garmin has released several different Forerunner options. Some really heavily featured, really close to the Garmin Fenix series, and then some that maybe skimp on a few more features. But the Forerunner watches will have pretty decent battery life. They'll have good GPS tracking, obviously the same GPS tracking chip that would be in the Garmin Fenix 5 watch. So the Garmin Forerunner, but if battery life isn't a concern, if it's someone who isn't going to go jogging for more than say 5 hours, or cycling for 5 hours, or need that GPS turned on for more than 5 hours, then something like the Garmin Vivo Active series could be looked at, like the new Garmin Vivo Active 3, or what I have here on my wrist, the Garmin Vivo Active 3 Music. Both of those options will give you about 5 hours worth of GPS battery life. And that, I think that for most people, that's going to be right up their alley, exactly what they want.
Yeah, I personally, my first fitness tracker was a Garmin Vivo Fit, which was just a little step counter. and I was given that as part of a package I was involved in. So that was a good starter. I sold that and used the money towards a Vivo Active.
Yep.
And it was the really square-faced ones. I think that was the Vivo Active one.
Yes. Yeah, that was the original.
But that was a great watch. It did everything I needed it to do. It was really small and light. I think it was about £100 at the time, and it was great, you know. And I speak highly of the Vivo Active range, although I have obviously gone higher end now with what I needed. But yeah, it was a fantastic watch. So what's the music one then? Can you listen to songs on it now?
Yeah, so it's got storage for up to 500 songs, and you have to plug this into your PC or Mac or computer and download the Garmin app or the Garmin software, and then through that, the Garmin software on your computer, you can import up to 500 MP3s. Now, as of right now, they don't really support streaming services. Well, so you can't stream music to this, right? Because it doesn't have built-in LTE or mobile capabilities. But what you can do is if you have a streaming service provider like Deezer, you can use that streaming service provider to download some of your playlists and then import those songs through the Garmin app onto the watch, and then you can listen to those playlists while you go running through Bluetooth headphones. So right now, Garmin doesn't have a lot of third-party developers on board with their music support. So you'll really have to rely on, you know, any actual MP3s that you've purchased or downloaded or made in order to, I think, really take advantage of the music storage feature. Because just as of right now, Garmin in the last year or so just hasn't done a great job getting third-party developers. And I think that's probably because third-party developers don't want to have to create a whole product development team or software development team just for, you know, a Garmin watch. They probably want to see how it shakes out for a while, see if there's an interest in that product. And then if there is wide consumer adoption of Garmin's watches, then we'll probably see third-party developers developing and partnering with Garmin, you know. So those all of those streaming services will come into play probably at some point, but they're not quite there yet. So all of that to say, the best way to take advantage of the music storage on this right now is just to take your physical MP3s and import them through the Garmin Express software to the watch.
And that does sound like it's a bit of a clunky process to get the music through these various things to get it onto the watch. Is there any other watches out there right now that are doing a much better job with the music?
Gosh, not really, to be quite honest with you. Not really. Really the best experience, and this is, you know, I know that people are going to accuse me of being an Apple fanboy, but I'm not wearing an Apple product right now, but is the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch allows you to, if you can import playlists onto your Apple Watch, and then what it does is when you set your watch on the charger, it will automatically begin importing those playlists while the watch is charging. So what you can do is overnight, or if you're going to put the watch down for a couple of hours, you can tell, you know, through your phone, you can tell the app like, hey, here's the playlist, here's the songs that I want on the watch. You can throw your watch on the charger for, you know, an hour or two while it charges. And then when you pick it back up to go work out or to go use it, all of those songs will have wirelessly transferred to the watch. So, you know, it's kind of a hard thing because the Apple Watch is more convenient in the sense that all you got to do is throw it on the charger and it automatically puts those playlists on the watch, but it's also slower. So I think, you know, it's like if you plug in this watch here, the Garmin Vivo Active 3 Music, into your computer, in 5 minutes, you can pull it off of that connection and walk out the door with 500 songs on your wrist, and it's that quick. Whereas, you know, with the Apple Watch, it's a little bit more convenient, but it's going to take you a couple of hours to import that playlist.
Okay, so I'm just going back to the live chat because we've had a few more things coming in. So the running guru has said, "Hello, gorgeous Rich." He's a character. He's a good friend of mine, and he said he's found the Suunto app dreadful. The Fitbit app was in another league, and although the Suunto watch did look a lot more fashionable when he wore that one. And then he's also said he can't see how anyone would justify £700 to £1,000 for one of these watches. I mean, what do you think about the prices nowadays? Do you think they're too high, or are they right?
Yeah, I think they're too high. You know, like what Garmin's doing is they are a lot of the features that they're offering, like on the Phoenix 5, that they withhold from maybe the Garmin Forerunner series. Those are a lot of times software features. So they've already developed the software. They've already developed that. And it's like, why aren't they releasing these on cheaper watches like the Forerunner watches or even the Garmin Vivo Active 3? And I think it's just because, you know, they're holding out. They're trying to, they're doing a price or a money grab. You know, I don't understand all the business aspect. I'm sure that they've got, you know, business people behind all of those decisions, figuring out how they can generate profits and everything. And they're a company. I get it. They're supposed to make money. That's what they're, you know, trying to do. But they do seem really high. I think when you're getting up to those, you know, massive price ranges, when you're talking about spending as much for a fitness tracker as you are you know, a laptop computer, my goodness, we're getting up to some really, really high prices.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, they've developed these features. They've obviously invested a lot of money and resources into developing them so they can bring them to us, the consumer. And I think if they just rolled them out on existing devices as a software update, you know, they'd see no return on that investment. So I can see why they have a premium range of products for a time, that they'll only be available on that. They hope to sell some, don't they? And you, like you say, make profit, make the company sustainable, and then they can move on to developing the next feature. You know, it's whether you're one of these people that wants the latest watch right now and you're prepared to pay that money, or you're prepared to wait until it comes down in price, I suppose.
Right.
Right. So who else we got? We've got the FOD runner says good evening. He's got an older Forerunner 220. It's been going just over 2 years, and he still only needs to charge it once a week. It's solid. So yeah, he's raving about the Forerunner 220. So yeah, we've talked a lot about Garmin. We've talked a lot about Fitbit, and we just touched on Apple product, the Apple Watch. And they've got the Apple 3 series now, haven't they?
Right. Yep. That's the one that I have.
And I think people are going to be interested in that. So just run us through that product a little bit.
Yeah, so the Apple Watch Series 3, it comes in a couple of different versions. You can get the version that's got the built-in LTE support or mobile support, where you can actually make phone calls or actually stream music, you know, from a streaming source right to the watch. That's not the version of the watch that I have, because I didn't feel like paying a monthly service fee, you know, just to have that that extra service on there. And so I just have the version that's, you know, the I don't know what you would call it, the non-LTE or the non-mobile version of it. And I love it. You know, it's got a pretty good heart rate sensor on there. The Apple software for health and fitness is a little clunky, because they actually have two different applications. You have the Apple Health app, and then you have the Apple Activity app. And rather than consolidating all of your health metrics to kind of one app and one source, they have two different apps that interface with the watch to you know, to use. And that's just a little bit clunky to me. I wish that they would do better with that. But in terms of it being a smartwatch that offers a well-rounded health and fitness experience, I think it does that. Is it a serious watch for those who, you know, want to do long runs or use the GPS for an extended period of time? No. You know, that's where you're definitely going to have to look at a designated GPS watch from Suunto, from Polar, from Garmin, because the Apple Watch is not going to have that GPS longevity. But for someone who just wants to have a smartwatch and they want something that's going to, you know, track their calories, something that will track their active and resting calories, and something that is relatively accurate in terms of its heart rate sensor and all of that, the Apple Watch does pretty good. And the Apple Watch can pair with external sensors too, which is pretty cool. You know, it can pair with external Bluetooth sensors, I should clarify, not A&T plus, but Bluetooth sensors. And so That's it's a pretty well-rounded smartwatch. I got to give it to Apple. I'm really curious to see if they continue to invest in kind of the health and fitness aspects with the next watch that will probably be out here within the next, I don't know, it'll probably be announced in maybe September, late August, early September. And then usually they release it only a few weeks after that. So I imagine here within a few months, we'll actually see the latest Apple Watch. So I'm curious to see what they do.
Yeah, I think I am too, because I'm, as much as I like this device, I'm the same as you. You said earlier on in the video, every few months you sort of start to get like, well, I want to try the next one. So I'm the same. I'm the same with phones and tech. I love it. But yeah, I think people watching this now, hopefully, by now you understand Eric is very knowledgeable about fitness trackers, and on his channel he's got tons of videos about the existing trackers that are out there for you. But also, whenever new ones are coming out, you're always getting one and reviewing it, aren't you? And what have you got coming up on the channel then?
So yeah, right now, I mean, what I have on my wrist is the Garmin Vivo Active 3 Music. The new Garmin Fenix 5 Plus series was just announced, and already those products are starting to, pop up in stores and being shipped. So that will be another one that I have on my list here to cover. It's a little bit hard because this is, there's some products out there on YouTube that you can spend a couple of hours with and then throw up a review. And a fitness tracker is a little bit different kind of a product. You have to spend time with it to really get to know it, to really put it through a lot of different tests. And so I have to work at a slower pace. It's like I can only maybe do a couple of reviews really in a month. And then the other videos that I do will maybe be unboxing videos or maybe be announcement videos. And so really, I'm only really able to get to maybe 2 reviews a month, which is a slow pace. But for me, that's about as fast as I can go without, kind of cheating. And I want to give people a real experience. I don't want to try to just rush through a review. I want to make sure that I've spent time with the product to make sure that it's an honest representation of that product.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one thing I'd say about your channel is you don't cut corners. You actually review the thing. You wear it, you use it, you sleep in it, and you make sure that it works and what you're saying to your audience is credible. And I've seen other channels, I'm not going to mention channels, but I've seen other channels, they just seem to review things on a whim, and a lot of the information they give you it's just stuff that they've read off the website. They haven't actually experienced the product, and I know that you do, and that's why I do like watching your channel and watching your product reviews, and you always give me ideas about which one to go for next. So what I've done is I've put links below this video in the description to Eric's channel, his Instagram, his Twitter, his Facebook. He's known as the Techy Agent, and you can find him on all those social platforms. So if anyone's got any sort of questions after this video, are you okay for them to send you a tweet or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they can send me a tweet. They can send me a Facebook message. I'm on Instagram as well. So hit me up on any social media or in a comment of one of my videos. And I try to make sure that I respond to, at least about 70% of the comments that I get. The channel's grown to the point where I can't respond to everybody because I get so many comments now, but I do my best attempt.
Yeah, and I'm sort of getting to that point now as well. I try to respond to everybody, but it's not always easy. Sure. And your channel's bigger than mine, so I can see how that goes for you. But yeah, so if you want to buy any of the products that we've talked about today, I've put a couple of links below, and always I'm honest about it. They're affiliate links, so if you click them and go to Amazon and you buy something, you'll pay no extra money, but I will receive a sort of small commission to send you to that product, and that supports this channel. So if you wanted to buy any and you did it that way, I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more running related content. It's free to subscribe. And normally I do my little sign off, Eric, but you have your own sign off on your channel. So do you want to sign us off?
Yeah, sure. So let's see how we would do this if I include both of us. I would say, hey, my name is Eric, and this is Richard, and I'm the Techie Agent, and he's Baze 187. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.